My wife cheated on me with another married man. I hired a PI and destroyed his life. The fallout was worse than I imagined. I never thought I'd be that guy. The one sitting alone at 3 a.m., scrolling through his wife's phone while she's asleep. The one who can't shake the feeling that something's wrong. The one who becomes a detective in his own marriage. But there I was. Sarah and I had been married for 8 years. We met in college. I was the quiet engineering major who somehow caught the attention of the most beautiful girl in our literature class. When she agreed to go out with me, I couldn't believe my luck. 4 years later, we were married in her parents' backyard, surrounded by friends and family. For the first 5 years, everything was perfect. We bought a small house in the suburbs, adopted a golden retriever named Max, and started talking about having kids. I worked as an engineer at a tech company, and Sarah taught English at the local high school. Our life was simple but good, until it wasn't. It started with small things. Sarah staying late at school for meetings. New clothes I'd never seen before. Passwords suddenly appearing on her phone. When I asked about these changes, her explanations always made sense. The meetings were for a new curriculum. The clothes were on sale. The password was for security after a colleague had their identity stolen. But something in her eyes had changed. That spark, the one that used to light up when she looked at me, it was gone, replaced by something distant, something guarded. Then came the weekend trips to visit her sister. The mysterious text messages she'd quickly hide when I walked into the room. The sudden need for space and independence. My friends told me I was being paranoid. My brother said all marriages go through rough patches. But deep down I knew. Even Max seemed to sense it, watching her with sad eyes whenever she walked out the door. I tried talking to her directly. Is everything okay with us? I asked one night over dinner. She looked annoyed, like I was bothering her. Of course. Why wouldn't it be? But her eyes never met mine. I grew up watching my father destroy himself after my mother's affair. He became a shell of a man, bitter, angry, drowning his pain in alcohol. I swore I'd never let that happen to me. I promised myself I'd always face the truth, no matter how painful. So I started paying attention. Real attention. I noticed Sarah would always take her phone when she went to the bathroom. She'd changed her hair, started wearing makeup on weekdays. She was working out more, but wasn't interested in being intimate with me. Classic signs, they say. But I needed proof. One night, while she was in the shower, I checked her phone. The password had been changed again. When I asked about it casually the next morning, she got defensive. What? Are you spying on me now? Don't you trust me? Trust. The word felt hollow. That's when I made a decision I never thought I'd make. I hired a private investigator. Tom was a former cop who'd started his own business. He was in his 50s, with tired eyes that had seen too many marriages fall apart. I just need to know the truth, I told him, sliding an envelope of cash across the table at a coffee shop far from our neighborhood. They always do, he replied, not unkindly. I'll call you in a week. That week was the longest of my life. I went through the motions at work, came home, walked Max, made dinner. Sarah and I moved around each other like strangers sharing an elevator. The distance between us felt infinite. Tom called on Friday. I have what you need, he said. Meet me tomorrow. Same place. I barely slept that night. Part of me hoped Tom would tell me I was crazy, that Sarah was just going through something personal, that our marriage wasn't a lie. The other part knew better. The coffee shop was nearly empty when I met Tom the next morning. He had a laptop and a thick manila envelope. You sure you want to see this? He asked. I nodded, my mouth too dry to speak. Tom opened his laptop and pulled up a series of photos. Sarah entering a hotel. Sarah kissing a man in the parking lot. Sarah and the man checking in at the front desk. The timestamps showed multiple dates over the past 3 months. His name is Michael Brennan, Tom said, sliding the envelope toward me. He's 42, works at the same school as your wife. English department head, married with 2 kids. My hand shook as I opened the envelope. Inside were more photos, hotel receipts, a copy of text messages between them. Their words made me physically sick. Plans for their future. Complaints about their spouses. Declarations of love. There's more, Tom said quietly. He showed me credit card statements. Sarah had been using our joint account to buy gifts for him. Expensive ones. She'd been planning a weekend trip to the coast, not with her sister, but with him. I'm sorry, Tom said, closing his laptop. I never enjoy this part of my job. I sat there for a long time after he left. The coffee grew cold. People came and went. My phone buzzed with a text from Sarah, grading papers at school. Be home for dinner. Love you. Love you. The words felt like poison. I drove home in a daze, the envelope burning a hole in my passenger seat. Max greeted me at the door, his tail wagging, unaware that our family was about to implode. I called my lawyer. Then I called Michelle Brennan's wife. As I waited for Sarah to come home, I paced our living room. Max followed me anxiously, sensing something was wrong. I kept replaying moments from our marriage in my head, wondering if any of it had been real. Had she ever loved me? Was I just convenient? A stable option while she looked for something better? How long had she been lying to my face? I thought about confronting her the moment she walked in, throwing the photos on the table, demanding answers, making her feel the pain I was feeling. But I also thought about my father, how his rage had consumed him, how it had only made things worse. No, I decided I wouldn't lose myself. I would be cold, calculated. I would protect myself first. I looked around our house, the photos of our wedding, the souvenirs from vacations, the books we'd read together. It all felt like props on a stage now. A play called Happy Marriage that had been running for years with one actor who didn't know the other was just pretending. My phone rang. It was Michael Brennan's wife, Lisa. I need to see what you have, she said, her voice surprisingly steady. Can we meet? An hour later, I sat across from her in a different coffee shop. She was elegant, composed, but her eyes held the same shock and pain I was feeling. I slid copies of Tom's evidence across the table. She looked through everything methodically, her face growing paler with each page. 8 years, she said finally. We've been married for 15 years, but he's been distant for about 8. She looked up at me. That's when he started working with your wife. 8 years. The entirety of my marriage. What are you going to do? She asked. I've already done it, I replied. My lawyer filed the divorce papers this morning. She'll be served on Monday. Lisa nodded slowly. I'm meeting with mine tomorrow. She gathered the papers carefully. Thank you for telling me. For showing me. As we were about to leave, she paused. For what it's worth, I don't think either of us deserve this. I watched her walk away, another casualty in a war we hadn't known we were fighting. When I got home, Sarah's car was in the driveway. It was time. I found her in the kitchen, starting dinner. She smiled when she saw me, but it didn't reach her eyes. Hey, you're home early, she said, chopping vegetables. I thought I'd make pasta tonight. I set the envelope on the counter. We need to talk, Sarah. She frowned, putting down the knife. What's that? The truth, I said simply. She opened the envelope, her face changing as she flipped through the photos. First confusion, then shock, then anger. Her face twisted in fury as she slammed the photos down. You had me followed? You invaded my privacy like this. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't flinch. I just leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching her unravel. No, I said calmly. I didn't invade your privacy. You threw it away the moment you lied to me. The moment you took our money and spent it on him. The moment you looked me in the eye and told me you loved me while planning a weekend getaway with another woman's husband. Her mouth opened, then closed. She gripped the edge of the counter like she might collapse. I called Lisa Brennan today, I continued. She knows everything. She's filing for divorce, too. Sarah's face went pale. You what? I also called the school superintendent, I said. Turns out, they have a strict policy about faculty engaging in inappropriate relationships, especially when it involves department heads and subordinates. Her breath came fast now, panic flashing in her eyes. You're ruining me. No, I corrected. You ruined yourself. I'm just making sure you don't get to walk away unscathed. I reached into my pocket and slid my wedding band onto the counter. It made a quiet, final click against the granite. The divorce papers will be served Monday. You have until the end of the month to move out. She stared at me, trembling. You're really doing this? I turned toward the door, pausing just long enough to say one last thing. Enjoy your pasta. The fallout was worse than I imagined. Michael Brennan lost his job within a week. His wife took the kids and moved back to her hometown. The scandal spread through the school district like wildfire. Sarah resigned before she could be fired, but not before the whispers followed her. Our mutual friends picked sides. Some called me ruthless. Others, mostly those who had been burned by infidelity themselves, called me justified. I didn't care either way. The house sold quickly. Max and I moved into a smaller place near the city. Some nights, I still wake up at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering if I could have done something differently. But then I remember the look on Sarah's face when she realized she was the one who'd lost control. And I sleep just fine.